Hello there, blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us with every spiritual blessing in heavenly places in Christ Jesus. Most welcome to Heart and Soul, where we explore issues on sports and faith. And today just happens to be one of those days, and I'm just so thrilled to have a gentleman in the studio who has actually co-authored this book. I mean, this man is a legend of the African game. You've been to the soccer city at Johannesburg, South Africa, you see a huge frame of him, on the wall. That tells you his greatness. 3 times winning the Africa Cup of Nations with the Black Stars. Now, what really undergirded him as far as his faith was concerned? So we're talking about this book, The Black Star, C.K. Gyamfi, and I have the co-author of the book right here in the studio to walk us through what all this means. And this is our topic. The beautiful game and the unexplained. It's actually a chapter in this book. Fiifi Anaman is my guest in the studio.
Thank you very much, Erasmus. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing? It's been such a long time.
Yeah, I think the last time we sat for an interview was in 2015. I believe it was, yes.
It's been a long time.
Yes, and you were one of the few people who actually called me for an interview after that award.
At the AIPS.
Yeah, the AIPS. Yeah, I remember very well, and I was really grateful. Yeah, I was really humbled to be on your show, yes.
If it was 2015, well, you come a long way.
Yes.
We're in 2022 now, so that's what, 7 years?
Yes, it's been a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fiifi, tell me about this book, The Black Star.
Yeah, The Black Star.
Why did you write it? Why did you co-author it? And you actually co-authored with who?
So, The Black Star co-authored, well, I'm the co-author. The main author is C.K. Gyamfi. That's his story. Himself.
Before he passed on.
Before he passed on. How I come in is that, normally when great people...
The camera wants to take that.
All right, so normally when great people want to write their stories, they collaborate with journalists. So that is how come I come in. So it might sound like, oh, it's a Fiifi Anaman thing. No, but it's a C.K. Gyamfi project in collaboration with Fiifi Anaman. So that's the story behind The Black Star. As to how or why I wrote it, I believe that the story, the question would be better answered by C.K. Gyamfi himself. Unfortunately, he passed on in September 2015. But like I read to you before we came on set.
If you want to read.
Yeah, I could find it.
Just to understand.
Yeah, because if you asked me why I, as Fiifi Anaman, wrote this book, I wouldn't be able to answer, because the events surrounding this book is quite interesting. But I could tell you why he wanted to write the book, according to what he told me.
Go on ahead.
Here's what it says. So this is an article that I wrote that appears in the book. It says, during one of our conversations, I asked C.K. Gyamfi about something that had always piqued my curiosity. Nana, I've always wanted to ask, what motivated you to write a book about your professional life? He drawled as he looked away. His face twitched in thought, as if to suggest he was trying to recall a reason. Then he turned and looked at me, his eyes reflecting a glint of joy. Oh well, you see, Fiifi, he began. My loved ones have always wanted, or have always pushed me to tell my story, because they say they've always wanted to see their names in a book. We laughed. So that's a small interaction as to why he wanted to write the book. If you ask me, I didn't really understand this answer, because I thought, why would you want to see your name in a book? You could always write your book and put your name in there. But when I was writing this article, I felt that it was an interesting interaction that people needed to know about. Perhaps they will understand better than I do, but I guess that's the reason why he wanted to tell a story. But as to how I met him, I met him first time 2009, and then I was a young boy, just in secondary school, first year of secondary school. I had told my dad I wanted to become a coach, so he took me to see C.K. Gyamfi, apparently because he knew one of his children. Okay. So we went to see him, and then he gave me advice about coaching. Very open man, never knew me anywhere, but opened up to me, very heartwarming. And then my dad asked him, so, we want to know if you have any book detailing your experiences, because I'm sure Fiifi would like to read, and I also asked about it. And he said, okay, I'm writing a book which will be out by the end of 2009. So we were excited about it. This was 2009, so we're like, by the end of the year, we'll get to read C.K. Gyamfi's book. fast forward 2013, the book hadn't come out still, but I'd forgotten about it. I had become a journalist. And then I remember that when I was young, my dad took me to go see CK Gyamfi. Now that I'm a journalist, why don't I go and interview him? Perhaps I'll find out more about him. So I went alone, walked into his house, welcomed me again. I don't know if you remember that I was the same person from 2009. I don't know. But he was very open to me. We had an interview. That interview was published. And then his children saw the article online. And then they were like, they really like the way that I write. And they would like to talk to me. And they're all based outside. So they came down. And then they told me that their dad had been writing again. So after the 2013 interview, CK Gyamfi told me again, the book is coming out by 2013. So 2009, 2013. So the children meet me. One of them met me in Accra. It's called Edwin Gyamfi. And then he told me that his dad has been trying to write a book. It's not materialized for many years, and they think that with the way I write, I'm the right person. So at that moment, I'm thinking, but this book that I've been waiting to read since 2009, I'm going to write it. That's a bit odd. So I guess that answers your question as to why I wrote it. It has a bit of, I don't know the expression to use, but it sounded like something that was meant to happen, maybe, because I didn't ask for it, right? I didn't go to CK Gyamfi to ask, Nana, let me write your story. You know, it sort of came to me, and at that point I had to, of course I was excited about it, but I didn't realize the seriousness of the project until many years later.
Now, for those who know CK Gyamfi, I mean, you see him there being hoisted by the players. Yeah. He was a man of the people.
A man of the people, yeah. I
loved him to
I believe this picture should be from 65. Tunisia 65. So the man who is carrying CK Gyamfi is the great Charles Addo Odamite.
Okay.
He was captain of 65. He captained the team in the absence of Wilberforce Infum, who had gotten injured before the tournament. So CK Gyamfi being carried shoulder high. I believe I see Reverend Kofi Pare in there. Abdul Ganiu Salami. I see a few players that I've come across during my research. But this AFCON win was very important to CK Gyamfi. Again, for reasons that I can't quite explain, because he talked about how in '63 a lot of people thought he had benefited from the contributions of people. So it was like people had planted seeds and he had come to pluck the fruit. So it's like, but in '65, he felt like he was the one who built the team, you know, did everything, and finally people were going to give him his due. So '65 sounded like something that he was really emotionally attached. And it was the first time the title had been defended as well. And I believe it was the first time that the title had been won by a country outside of the host nation. I'm not too sure about that, but yes, that was what made it very interesting.
I don't know what, I don't know what to say. He's such a young man, very humble, and he's writing the book of the greatest Ghanaian coach, greatest Ghanaian football coach. I mean, out of the 4 times we won the AFCON, CK has been involved in 3 of them.
Yes. 2
directly as coach. In '82, he was a team manager.
He was actually the head.
Okay.
But it's a bit of a
bit of controversy.
Yeah, a bit of
what was he in the team?
He was the head. He was the head of the technical team.
So was he the head coach?
He was, of course, he was the head coach, and then he had assistants.
Okay.
Right.
So was he the one making decisions?
He was the one making the decision. Let me try and see if I could find something to explain that as well.
You know, because I was having a conversation with a veteran broadcaster, and all these issues came up. I'd mentioned CK had won it 3 times, and
all right, so
he said it's a point of correction.
There's a statement that features in the book. It says, "Without attempting to hold brief for anyone, I feel as the overall boss and chairman of the Black Stars technical team, I should come out with certain facts to clear the minds of the general public." So he said it was clear that he was the boss. The GFA had come in for him because they felt that his experience from '63 and '65 would be beneficial for '82. But as with every human institution where there's a possibility for achievement, and there's a prevalence of superstardom, and of course of egos and stuff like that, there's always going to be issues with human nature and people, you know, wanting to claim things. And I believe CK Gyamfi, one of the things I wrote in acknowledgement was that for such a major star, he was very down to earth. You know, he never really wanted to, you know, I was the one who did it, I was the one who did it. Of course, there were times where he had to stake his claim, but in general, he knew how to hold his own. There's been yes, that's him, a great man. If he were alive, what would he have said about this 82 thing? I don't think he would have made a lot of comments about it, because he would have known the truth of the matter.
He became a chief at a point.
Yes, he became a chief at a point later.
Gyamfi.
Yes, Nana Kumi Gyamfi. So yes, I don't think that there's any doubt that CK Gyamfi was head coach in 82. Yes, I don't think so.
You know, you bring out a lot of memories. When I also came to Accra as a broadcaster, I was City FM. I also did pay a visit to him.
And I was a huge fan of yours. This is something I've not told you. I used to listen to you avidly. Yes. Many years ago.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And we had some interviews in the past. Right. Sammy Bartels also did at this house just around Swan Lake.
Yes.
And always, you know, welcoming everybody. Now, there's the subject matter which we want to touch on just has to do with the supernatural in sports. Yeah. And he actually captured it in a chapter in this book. I would really want everybody to get a copy of this book. Yeah. And you're going to give us the details how people can get it. Of course, we're going to launch it this week.
Yes.
By the time we're going to do this broadcast, you know, the launch would have already been done. But the title is The Beautiful Game and the Unexplained. And just reading a little bit of that chapter, you know, you're able to capture things with words, describing the atmosphere. They had gone to maybe a grotto, or they've gone to see a fetish priest. They've gone to see a juju man who was going to conjure the magic, and the experience goes on and on. Yeah. What is the essence of this chapter?
Okay, so the chapter was originally named "Is There Juju in Football?" That was the original chapter. But like I said, the reason why people would want to collaborate with storytellers in telling their stories, because they have the essence of the story, but in terms of how it is told, you know, they want somebody who has a sense of storytelling. Yeah. Right. So I'm thinking that is the reason why I was brought on board. So initially, when I was working on this project, I wasn't really sure as to how much I should involve myself. But his family, his children who contracted me, they were very clear as to the role that I should play. They said, you take control of the artistic nature of the project, choose which chapters to include and the chapter names and everything. So that's what happened with the chapter name. So I rebranded it The Beautiful Game and the Unexplained. I'll explain a bit about the title of the book later, but let's get into The Beautiful Game and the Unexplained. So it talks about his experiences with juju in football. Very controversial issue, isn't it? Now, people believe that juju in football is a myth, right? I actually
have a book here.
Yeah.
From Francis Butcher. It says Juju, Magic and Witchcraft in African Soccer. Myth or reality? Myth or reality, yes. So it is one of those things where perhaps depending on your experience, you have your own perspective. For me, for many years, I didn't know anything. I'm just watching football, you know. Of course, you've heard rumors of, you know, all these rituals that are being done. And then, of course, I read CK. Have you ever had any experience
with juju? No.
Ooh.
Oh, I've not had experience.
So your experience is through CK then?
Yeah, yes. So,
or maybe Harry Potter?
Perhaps. I mean, I've watched movies and stuff like that. So I've experienced it through media. Okay. Right, but not personally. So it was an interesting read for me.
But you believe in the supernatural?
I think that life cannot be done without the supernatural. Okay. I believe that there's a supernatural angle to things. But again, it depends on perspective. There are people who know that there's a supernatural aspect to life, but will never admit it for reasons best known to them. Per my own experience, I know that there's a supernatural, but of course it comes with experience. Yeah, I believe it's determined by God. Anyway, so The Beautiful Game and the Unexplained. So CK Gyamfi talks about his run-ins with juju. He talks about it starting from codes level. He talks about how deeply intertwined football was with juju during his time. Doesn't mince words about it, and I found that very interesting because, you know, many people write such stories and maybe they would sort of hide details and stuff like that, but he was very honest with some of the things that he experienced. And then, of course, he talked about the Black Stars.
Okay.
And how juju was, the thing with the Black Stars then. But the interesting thing, C.K. Gyamfi, at the beginning of the story, he makes it clear that he grew up in a household that was ruled by two religions.
Wow.
Christianity and discipline.
Okay.
And those two became like sort of creeds in his life throughout his career. Now, he explains that even though he was going through a lot of juju experiences, he believed that his upbringing should have aroused a certain consciousness in him to be able to disentangle himself from this. I can't do this, I can't do that. But because he really loved football, he just did it because for his young man, it was something to do. So maybe before a game, they would call the young players and then they would give them some amulets and stuff like that. And as a young person growing up, you don't really understand life. So it's like, oh, this is something that we do. It's like in every field, there are things that are done. If you don't do it, you don't play. If you don't do it, you don't play. He loves football. He just wants to play. He knows he's a talented player. It's like, okay, if this is what I have to do, why not? That was the mentality. But as time went on, he began to question why he was doing it, why it was being done, what was the whole bit about it. I don't want to give too much away, but I'll just read a bit about it. Okay, so let me just read a small part just to give you a gist.
Okay.
Now, as my career progressed, I still believed that I needed habitual juju rituals to be successful. And that we only lost matches because someone on the team had broken a juju rule. I had my own doubts and suspicions, but I had actually seen frogs die from juju chants. It's another story that you should read about in the book. He had seen frogs dying from juju chants, so it sort of shook him. I had heard rumors too of so many other players becoming victims of the wrath of the juju gods.
Wow.
I was only a kid, and so the fright was real for me. Believing and adhering felt much safer than disbelieving and rebelling. So that's
all right.
a bit.
You just leading us right into the Did You Know segment of Heart and Soul. And today we're actually reflecting on a statement made by C.K. Gyamfi to Reverend Francis Boche in his book, Juju, Magic and Black Magic, whether it's real or it's a myth. And so we just want to do quick reflections upon what C.K. Gyamfi actually told him. This is his book, The Black Star, but they actually had done some previous interviews. And so it's something we want to reflect on if we are ready. Yes, roll it and then let's read it and get some facts surrounding this. All right, so we see it here. And so you're just helping us here.
Okay.
Before I took over the Black Stars, we had a few spiritualists or medicine men who were assisting the team. Some even accompanying us on trips outside Ghana. Just said the state of Ghana bought tickets for them.
So this tallies with what is in the book. Yes, okay. I can confirm.
As Africans, this should not surprise us because superstition in soccer was a common belief and practice on the continent in those days. It is still relevant today. But my experience with Germany, Chilean, and Brazilian football convinced me that juju does not play soccer. My team then decided to discard the services of the medicine men and rather rely on Christian prayers, good tactical systems, hard work, discipline, and motivation. He won the Cup 63, 65, and 1982. So you should take his words very seriously, especially for the present core players. But my question here to you, how did the Ohinijans and those other people in the team react to CK's position to discard of the services of the spiritualists or the medicine men? So it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Not for me, obviously. I'm just a chronicler. But I'm just, like I said, I sort of had to inhabit the thing. So I sort of see things from his perspective. Now, from what he wrote and what I worked with, basically, after he returned from Germany, he started to campaign amongst his players. So it is a very political situation.
Yes.
You just don't walk into a place and say, this is what I believe, so let's all go along with it. No, you actually need to campaign. Because like he explains in the book, juju was deeply seated in the psyche of players. You know, it was almost like second nature. It's like a normal thing. So it's like, men juju, what are you trying to tell me? You understand? So he had to quietly, you know, campaign, and then when he was able to the support of the team, when he was able to gather, you know, the key players, and you know, they went to see Ohinijan, who had actually hired the juju man for the team.
How many?
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but yes, there had been a situation where authorities had hired a juju man for the team, right?
Okay.
So, of course, in the interest of the nation.
Yes.
And so they had to go see Ohinijan and say, hey, like, we really don't want to do this juju thing, and we believe that whatever is being paid to the juju man should be added to our incentives. Because when I went to Germany,
so they were spending money on the juju.
Oh yes, of course. Everything in that nature must cost a lot of money.
Okay.
Yeah, the juju men have to eat.
We all have to eat.
Yes. So
it means stopping them means cutting off somebody's livelihood.
Yeah. So it's like
income. It's a real fight.
Livelihood. Yeah. So that's as I'm saying. It's a very political situation. So yes, they went to see Ohinijan, and Ohinijan, obviously, it's not his decision to make. Juju, he didn't bring about juju. He came to meet it. He's also following the line. So this is somebody who has gone to Germany, and he sent him to Germany.
Yeah.
When he just sent CK to Germany, now he's come back and he's saying, "Osman, I mean, so we need to change." So it's a difficult situation, right?
Wow.
So he says that when he went to Germany, he never saw anything like a juju thing, but he didn't even practice juju when he was there. But he was a star. He blew up in Germany, scored a lot of goals, became what is described in the book as a black star in a white society. Okay. First African to play professional football in Germany. And if he was able to do that, it meant that there could be a juju-less lifestyle for the Black Stars. So that's how it started.
We'll do a quick break with Fiifi Anaman, the Black Star. He's our star in the studio today and representing Gyamfi and co-authoring a book. I mean, a young man doing something nobody else has ever done in this country with the greatest, the legend. After this, we'll talk a little bit more.
Is there a supernatural dimension in football? A world beyond the one we know? Does Juju play football? Does God care who wins a football match? Can the outcome of matches be determined by forces outside the football field? What is the impact of faith in sports? Are there negative effects of Juju, black magic, on footballers? Can we tap into ancient secrets of the supernatural? Let us join Erasmus Kwao as he investigates the strange world of the supernatural in sports on Heart and Soul every Saturday at 11 a.m. on Lifestyle TV. It is life redefined.
You're most welcome to Heart and Soul. And so we have Fiifi Anaman, the Black Star. That's a book on Gyamfi. Now, I want to do some quick reflections. I did this interview with the late Ben Kofi some 8 years ago, before he also passed on to glory. And this is specifically what he had to say about Gyamfi and his rise to become a Black Star coach.
The whole tournament. It was very interesting. Just when the tournament was about to start, the coach, Coach Emba, of the team was dismissed by Ohinijan. We don't know the friction, what came. He was dismissed. And Ohinijan commanded Gyamfi to be the player coach. That is to coach and play at the same time. He just infused some confidence in him that you can do it. And strangely enough, Gyamfi handled the team. He was playing himself, handled the team, and we won the Africa Cup of Nations for the first time. You see,
that was a very drastic decision.
It was a drastic decision he took, and as I told you, he was more of a dictator. When he decides to do something, he will do it.
And he believed in the black man.
He believed in Gyamfi, so he was proved right in the long run.
Well, he might have been a difficult.
Look at Ghanaians in 1963 when we won the Africa Cup of Nations. It couldn't be imagined. I remember the final day when we played Sudan. If you look at the stadium, and it's difficult to describe.
The whole country.
The whole country went up, gog, and Ghanaians love their game.
Exactly.
Real Madrid versus
The
Black Stars.
Yeah.
Here at the Accra Sports Stadium. Franklin Krenzel was our best right back player. Very solid. Krenzel had an injury and felt that he couldn't play. Ohinjan just left him. 2 days to the match, he called Krenzel. In the meantime, Krenzel wanted a scooter. He was going to tell Ohinjan that he needed a scooter.
A motorbike, so.
A motorbike and a fridge. In those days, it was a flat top. So Ohinjan told him, well, if you want this, Sunday against Real Madrid, go and prove. And you will get it. Krenzel was suffering. But on the Sunday, Krenzel decided to play. He went to the game, had a very good game. Unfortunately for him, Real Madrid had one, Gento, their left winger, very fast. Krenzel marched him to the end of the first half. Second half, now Krenzel couldn't, he was tired. So Krenzel was signaling to the bench
To substitute him.
for substitute. Ohinjan sat at the bench always himself too, in his keto cloth. So he shouted, Krenzel, Krenzel. Krenzel looked at him and said, Prum, Prum, Prum. And Krenzel got the message that the scooter that he wanted, if he's able to continue to play, he's going to get it the next day. So he had to play. He played to the end. Then he had a swollen leg. And the next Monday, Krenzel got the scooter plus the flat top fridge he wanted and money on top. This is how Ohinjan inspired sportsmen.
All right, a bit of CK Gyamfi, a bit of Ohinijan. But Ohinijan was an overbearing guy.
Oh yes, oh yes.
And CK survived him.
Ohinijan was the man. Yes, he was a huge part of CK Gyamfi's story. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was too. The Black Stars was an institution that was featured heavily too. But it's a very interesting story because for 65 there was a similar incident regarding I think it was Kofi, where Ohinijan had also promised him something and he ended up scoring in the final. So Ohinijan was a master motivator.
So beyond the spiritual, they also used what we call motivation or inspiration.
Oh yes, Ohinijan was.
He dealt with the players one-on-one.
Yeah, so there was this expression that I had come across by hearing in interviews and stuff. It was called MKK, right? I didn't really know what it meant. I followed up with a lot of players and a bit, but finally I got an explanation into it. Apparently it was a name of a bank account that Ohinijan had where he used to withdraw money from to motivate his players. So he had that thing where it's like he knows how to galvanize people to perform, and that you should give it to Ohinijan. I don't think there was anybody like him during that time in terms of motivating sportsmen, no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how do we sum up? I mean, anybody who wants a copy of the book, how do they get a copy?
Yeah, so the book will be launched on, well, yes, it will be launched pretty soon, Thursday the 19th of May,
Yeah.
2022.
Well, I'm just going to be straight. We're actually recording this program, so by the time you see this broadcast, already the book would have been launched.
Yes.
But how did they get it?
So it will be up in all the bookshops. Okay. It's up on booknook.store, Booknook Store online, Amazon UK, Digibooks online. That's the publisher, Digibooks Ghana.
Okay.
And yeah, it will be available everywhere.
It's a good way to sign off from the studio. Many thanks again to Fiifi Anaman, co-author of the Black. Let me hold the book one more time. I mean, if you want a copy, you certainly go to grab it in all the bookshops and also online. I sign off by saying life is a test, life is a trust, and life is very temporal. So seek your maker while you have your breath. Give your life to Christ. Till we meet again. Bye for now.